Some of you might be old enough to remember when I pledged to play through the entire Devil May Cry franchise. Actually, that was just under a year ago, which isn't that long ago. But anyways, I finally tried Devil May Cry 3, and is it as good as everyone says?
This party's getting crazy.
Oh my god, early 2000s. This is so cringe. Welcome back, Classy Crew, to another Hey J May Cry journal. I've only called that once before, but we're going to try to make it stick. So the first game was punishing, the second game was a slog and boring, and the third one, I've been taking my time trying to approach it because the last one did not leave a good taste in my mouth at all. Devil May Cry 2 is horrendous. In fact, I have to go back eventually one day to play the quest from a whole different perspective, the game from a whole different perspective. But anyways, I am so happy to say Devil May Cry 3 has cleansed the palate. And I have to say, I have no nostalgia goggles because I've never played this game before. I'm maybe 7-8 chapters into the game. I don't know how far that is. And it's fun. I'm having a good time with this game. I think this is the essence and the spirit of what Devil May Cry is supposed to be and what all of you have been telling me I should expect from it. I'm so glad I'm finally tasting it because after the first one, I was like, eh. Second one was just trash. But now I get it because playing the third one, I can understand what 1 and 2 were trying to achieve, and they did it in 3 with some drawbacks. So I'm hoping that gets polished off in 4 and 5, because if so, by the time we make it to 5, this boy right here is going to be smiling ear to ear. This game, I have to say, it's so cringe how badass it wants to be. I don't know if it's aware or if this is what early 2000s was. I feel early 2000 badass was not aware of how cringy it was. Like, we start off this game with Dante, he's topless. Why is he topless? Because that's what men do with muscles like that. And he's doing all of the stereotypical things. He's like listening to rock music. He's got drums because of course he plays drums on his spare time. He's got to like beat things. And then he's got, what else did he have in there that was, a pool table because cool guys play pool and eat pizza. And of course he's eating pizza. And I was calling, like, I could see the tropes. I'm like, gun and pizza. There's probably a poster of a half-naked lady somewhere. But anyways, it's fun. It's good, like, fun, old, badass stuff. Next thing I noticed is the freaking models. I think we had a little bit of a technological jump at this point, and developers discovered that you could put spheres inside of the eye holes instead of, like, I don't know how they did it before. I assume they painted on the eyes, but here it's quite obvious the eyeballs live on their own and rotate within the 3D model, and it is creepy, like super creepy. Now, getting into the actual gameplay, you get introduced to 4 styles, and I can see that you can basically switch this however you want, but I see this as 4 gameplays because I love the fact that you get to level them up, which makes you more efficient or proficient in each of these styles. We got Trickster, Swordsmaster, Gunslinger, Royal Guard. I've tried 2 of them, so I decided to go with Trickster because I was told I can dodge in that one, and it's the default setting, so I assume it's the most newcomer friendly. So that's why I went with that. I switched to Swordmaster briefly for a challenge. I needed to get like a combo with more hits in, and because Trickster, part of the move set is dodging, I wasn't able to get enough hits. So with Swordmaster, you basically change your whatever your rightmost button is into an extra stab instead of a like dodge. So Swordmaster, Trickster, okay, but I do like the dodging aspect of Trickster more, so I prefer that one. Gunslinger, I'm not much of a guy for guns, so that one I didn't even try. And Royal Guard, since it's at the bottom of the list, I assume that one requires some pretty good gameplay for that, so I didn't even try that yet. The next thing that hit me really hard is the fact that you have to use lock-on so much, and I don't know if it's the Xbox controller, but holding RB, the right button, like my finger is not comfortable holding that button for long periods of time. And in this game, I feel you have to lock on almost every 2 seconds because that's how you get your precision. So one of the first things I did is I had to remap my buttons, and I moved my right button to my right trigger, which is a much more comfortable button to push down. Curious if you guys did any remapping of your buttons or if it was fine, because I think this game was originally on the PlayStation only, maybe wasn't exclusive, because on a PlayStation controller, their buttons, their top buttons specifically, are more equal, I find. So I don't know. Unfortunately, I was very disappointed to see that we're still stuck with fixed cameras. That is still a low point of this game. Yeah, they refined it, so it's not as much of an issue, but fixed cameras still suck, and it is no different in Devil May Cry 3. I've also noticed the music is much better than Devil May Cry 2, but that's not saying much, but I can see us getting more into those rock-heavy beats that just feel good when you're bashing some demons in. Also, I don't know if it's because I got familiar with some of the moveset from Dante in 1 and 2. I'm happy to see a lot of his moveset returns in 3, so I can actually pull the combos. And because the combat is more fluid, it just comes together just so much smoother that I actually know what to do. I know that if I hold back and like sword, I can flip the monster up in the air, and then I can chase him in the air, and I can shoot him to hold on my combo. And so it's a really just cool. I feel this is what 1 was trying to do. 2 was, I don't know what they were. 2 was drunk. Now there's a plot, and I have to say, I criticized Devil May Cry 2 for like being lost and confused and not knowing where the plot was or what even I was doing half the time. It's kind of the same here, but they get away with it in a way that you don't need a plot. Like you literally, your home gets invaded, so you're like, WTF, I'm trying to be a badass here. And then a tower comes out of the city, and there's a bigger badass at the top of the tower who looks like you, and I think he's my brother, and he's blue, so he's like the counter to my red. It's the typical trope. So the whole thing, I think the whole game is just climb the tower to go beat my brother, if that's who he is. And I'm like, you know what? That is the only quest I need to care about, because fun little Hey Jay trivia for you. As a kid, I used to play with action figures, and my go-to game was always, I had this like Ghostbuster tower, and I would always put like my most cool, powerful like villain action figure at the top, or if it was a hero turned evil. And then the hero always had to like make his way through the Ghostbuster tower and fight all the villains to get to the top. So to me, that is a good story. If it's just fighting a bunch of bosses up a tower to get to the big badass, I'm okay with that. I'm a simple man. So the villain, that plot villain, whatever they're doing up there, I don't care. There's a tower, it grew, they busted my door in. I'm going to go knock on their door and beat them up. Now there's a woman who's been introduced that I don't know what her story is yet. She busts in with a bike and she holds onto a bazooka. She's trying to like out badass Dante, and it's kind of working, honestly. And it's just, okay, let's do it. We're just riding with a bazooka. She just shoots. I made it to the point where she actually encountered Dante. The first thing she does is she puts a bullet in his head. So I guess they don't like each other. So I really don't know what her story is. She seems to have some beef with the other villain, the first villain that you see, not the brother up the tower, but the other dude that hangs out with the brother. So anyways, I'm sure it's all going to come to some magical conclusion at the end. We're going to understand everything, or probably not. And I'm betting right now that there's probably another playthrough where I play as the lady. I don't even know her name yet. Anyways, shortly after that, I get to my first proper boss encounter, which is Cerberus. And I have to say, this boss was hard, but fun. No. Like, it was such a fun boss. So it's Cerberus, but covered in ice. Never seen that rendition of Cerberus before. And you just dodge and like hit away at the ice and like shoot him, and you just see the ice chipping away. And eventually his pattern gets somewhat predictable that I felt pretty comfortable fighting it. And you get rewarded with one of the coolest weapons I've ever seen in this kind of game, which is freaking ice nunchucks. I love this. It just feels so natural. I instantly grab it, and things just seem to die faster, and you just go like nunchuck everywhere, and then you do like a pirouette flip. It feels so good. I love it. Other bosses, fought a centipede. Don't like centipedes. Shortly after that, I met a jester who really funky dude. I don't know what his whole thing is, but just a weird dude. That's all I'm gonna say. And then I got to Agni and Rudra, which are like these twin swordsmen, and they too, I was like, I'm barely doing damage. How am I supposed to fight these things? And I think the gimmick, and I didn't really play long enough to exploit it. I beat them, but I think if you time hitting them when they try to hit you, you get the sword to fly out of their hands, and that creates a huge opening where you can just beat on them and see their health bar deplete. Now, I accidentally focused too much on one guy, so if you kill one guy too fast, the other guy gets both swords and just starts doing crazy attacks. And the first time I killed the red dude first, which souped up the blue dude, and he has so many like AoEs, it was hard. So the next time I beat the blue dude, so I had to fight the fire guy, and he was okay. I beat him. And then I got to take their weapons. The boss becomes the weapons. I get the two swords and they talk, but I told them to not talk, so they don't actually talk. Those are kind of fun, but not as cool as the nunchuck. So the other thing I really like about this game is the combo statues. So throughout the game, you come across these statues that requires a very specific weapon to fight, to hit them. and you have to get a certain rank, combo rank on them. And if you do it, you get rewarded with like a stone that increases your health or something. This has helped me understand and appreciate the combos of my weapons as I try to unlock the goodie that's there. Genius idea. Love this implementation. It really helps me as a player figure out and understand how to best use my weapons while being rewarded for attempting in a safe space. Like, it is such a good design element. I love it. So that's where I'm at. I'm gushing right now in Devil May Cry 3. I assume it's just going to keep getting harder, but if it maintains the same level of funness, it should be pretty cool. There's nothing really I hate outside of the stupid camera, but otherwise it's a fun ride. I feel like this is what Devil May Cry was supposed to be, and I really do feel like if it only gets better from here, I'm going to love this franchise. So thank you for joining me on my Hey J May Cry journal. I will see you on the next one as I hopefully wrap up Devil May Cry 3. And if there's another chapter to play, I will cover that before heading over to Devil May Cry 4. So be sure to follow over at twitch.tv/HeyJOfficial. And until next time, keep it classy.